Hey everybody, this is my 40-gallon purple spotted gudgeon tank. You might be able to see him front and center right there up at the top. And I've got a leak in the filter. It's a SunSun 303B. It's the smaller one. It's only 375 gallon per hour flow rate, I believe. Regardless, I'm not knocking the filter at all. I really like the SunSun canister filters. I've got them on other tanks and I will be using them in the future, I'm sure. But for today, we're actually going to take it off this tank and replace it with Tatra Whisper hang on the back filter for a 60-gallon tank. I've got one of these on another tank, and I had one on this tank once upon a time, if I'm not mistaken. So swapping it out should be fairly easy. Didn't bother with turning all the lights out and everything because I actually want that overhead light on. We're going to actually show this process. So that's the filter in the box. For those weird people out there that are fascinated with watching people open boxes, there you go. There's the big unboxing. I don't know if I did that right for you unboxing people or not, but there you go. That's it. That's pretty much the whole thing, except for the little bit of plumbing that goes with it, and we'll have a look at that in a second. You also get the little instruction paper, and then the box actually just sort of collapsed in my hand, so easy to put in the recycling bin. So with any luck, I should be able to just drop this one right on the back. The plastic lip that goes across the back of the tank should already have a notch cut out in it, pretty much for this size filter. Now I've got to decide how far into the tank I'm going to want it to hang, so I'm probably going to add this little extension here. I don't want it down close to the bottom. This is a sandy tank, or sand bottom, and when the gudgeon kicks it up, it gets into the filter fairly easily. So that should do it. That should keep me about where I want to be off the bottom. The problem with these kinds of filters is they can bind up a little more easily than the other filters. These are the little whisper bags. We'll get to them in a second. But this basically has one of the simple magnets with an impeller on it, like a standard. I'm hoping this is coming out on camera. I can't see what the viewfinder is looking at. It's just a standard hang on the back style filter, and it's got a little impeller on there with a little magnetic drive on it. Super quiet. They run forever. But if they get sand in them, that little spinning impeller in there can bind up. I have had these seize up on me, which is one of the benefits of having the canister filter. There are benefits of having both the canister filter and the hang on the back filter, and we'll talk about them a little bit as we progress with this too. So let me put these pieces of tubing that we're not using over there. That's basically your bio material there, your bio sponge, whatever you want to call that thing. This is how these filters come. I guess I can cut the film and show you one of the way I do it. So these come with a little pouch on them. And you can buy these replacement pouches. Of course, there goes the carbon everywhere. I don't use carbon in any of my tanks. When these come with carbon in them, I'll go ahead and use it. I don't have an issue with using carbon. I just don't see any point in adding it when I don't need it. So why spend money on something that I'm putting in the tank that I may as well just flush down the toilet? But these come with a little sort of sock that slides over this plastic frame. And then these fold down, and it's a little simple plastic clip. So let me cut the film and I'll show you how I do these to replace them after the new ones come. Alright, so when it comes time to change the filter and this is dirty, you simply pop that clip off, open these little flaps up, slide this gunk off, get all of your carbon and everything still in there, and then that is disposable. That goes in the trash. So instead of buying these, because you can purchase these, I think they're $10 or $12 for a 3-pack, and they don't last long. It's made out of polyester material, which is the exact same stuff as polyester batting that you can buy in the sewing department at any of your big box stores or whatever. I get it up at the Walmart, and you get a huge sheet of it for about $10. I cut it into lengths about like that. Take that very same thing, I simply fold it around. This is overkill, you don't need all of that, but I just grabbed a piece that was handy. As long as it goes around, you can do one layer, you can do two layers, you know, front and back, or in this case I'm doing a third layer because it's overlapping. Simply fold it down and put the clip back on, and be careful when you slide it back in because the bottom is open and it can bunch up on you. Now this is not a closed sock on the bottom, so you can't put your carbon in there, but again, I don't use carbon, so that's not an issue for me. This is a really inexpensive way to do these filters, and it's fast, it's easy. Again, one of the benefits of using the actual hang on the back instead of the canister filter. So let me get this one open. Now the next thing we need to do is get the canister filter shut down and turned off. So I know you can't see it, but there is a valve on top of the canister filter that opens and closes the hoses that allows you to disconnect the filter while you're doing your water changes and all that stuff. So I'm simply going to close that valve and then unplug the filter. So we now no longer have the canister filter connected to the tank. The hoses are still in the back of it, but it's not actually connected to the tank. I'm probably going to need my step stool for this. Let's move this over here for a moment. Now, let me go get my step stool for this. Alright everybody, now that I've got all the junk out of the way, we'll get this cloth off the top of it. Got my step stool here. One thing you can do when you need to work in the back area of a tank, if you don't have enough room to really get down in there, is lift the lid. In this case, I'm not going to fold the lid all the way over because it's a really big front piece here. It's like half the size of the tank. So I'm just going to lift it up enough to get it over that front lip, and then we can simply slide it forward a little bit, and that gives me access to the back of the tank like this. So I've got to get these suction cups popped off. Lift this hose out, lift this hose out. And that is that. We are disconnected completely from the tank. And I've got all of the hoses and everything in a tray over here, so if it does leak, we're good to go. Now this is going to be the easy part, I hope. This is how difficult it is to install the hang on the back filter. So you saw we've already got the hose length or the intake length adjusted to where we want it. You can see all the lights twinkling in there. That's because I got that cheap DIY LED panel, and while I'm moving it around and pushing on it, just that little tiny bit of touching the wires is affecting the current through them. So again, that's why I've never done a video about those. It's just not worth doing for a DIY kind of project. You can just buy some cheap lights that'll be as good as these things, so don't even worry about how I did that. So this is pretty much it. You just hang it on the back and slide the glass back in place. It should fit, and it does not. Oh, you know what? It does, but wow. It's kind of hard. Well, let me show you before I actually install this. If you can see how it comes down and then it notches in and then goes down again, the plastic in the back is actually hitting here, but if I push it down just a little, it slides under that edge. So it's cut to fit right to there and right to here, and it's so narrow this way that I'm sure it's going to be touching this piece of plastic here. I had rainbow fish in this tank at one point, I believe, and that's why I cut it as absolutely tight as I could so that jumpers wouldn't be lost. So I still think we're good to go here. It's just going to be a little bit of a wiggle to get it in there. There we go, just like that. So as I suspected, we're hitting, well, we're not now. Not actually sure where that broke. Yeah, I am. I still need to cut that. So I need to notch this little piece right here. So give me one more second. Okay, I normally use a pair of tin snips when I'm cutting this plastic, but in this case I just need to notch a little V in it. So I think these diagonal cutters will work just fine. There you go, I just used a pair of regular old diagonal cutters. So that should be that. Let me go get some water so we can prime it. Alright, now remember these hang on the backs that have the impeller in them have to have water in them in order for them to draw water up, so you got to prime them. So that should be enough. Theory, when I plug this in, I should gurgle a few times and then we should see water starting to flow. And there's the water starting to flow, and that's a lot of flow compared to what was going on in there before. So gudgeon does not like that. Now this is an adjustable filter, so I knew 60 was going to be way too fast for this tank, so we'll go ahead and knock that down to about half volume. I also need to add some water, which will prevent that waterfall effect. It'll actually create more of a flow across the surface the way I had it before. That's one of the benefits of a canister filter, is the spray bar. You can adjust the spray bar in a lot of different ways. You can put a lot of different adapters and fittings on the spray bar to create jets and sprays and angle it in different directions. A lot of things you can do with a spray bar that you simply can't do with a hang on the back filter. The only real options you get with the hang on the back filter, they probably make little plastic angle sort of deflectors and stuff that'll help create surface flow versus that waterfall effect, but I'm only speculating about that. As far as I know, the only thing I ever do is adjust the depth of the water. If you lower the water, you get a waterfall effect. If you raise the water, you get the water flowing across the surface. So that's what we'll do here in a little bit. We'll get the water flowing across the surface. Not really worried about that in this particular video. So here's the next thing we're going to do that is going to be a little trick. Since we already took the established filter off of it and we're putting these two brand new sponge filters in it, we're not going to put two brand new sponge filters in it. We're going to put one brand new sponge filter in it, and then we're going to put one gunky, gross, disgusting filter that was in my 29 miscellaneous and is well established. In fact, I really need to wring it out. It's nasty, but that's perfect for what we've got going on right here. So that's a nice pre-established filter. For whatever it's worth, I'll use the pouch that has the carbon in it. I'll mix it in with that. Another trick, if you're not familiar with how to do it, if you've got that sponge filter in there, and when you try to put these in, if you have a hard time forcing it down and it gets caught up on all this, pull this halfway out, get that started until they're about lined up, and then simply slide them in together, although I'm not in the slot in the back there. Let me get lined up here. That's still not quite in there right. The carbon is getting in the way, which is another one of the reasons I don't like using that carbon. So now all I can do is find where I set that other one. There it is. And so this is my homemade one. It's just got a piece of that wrapped around it. So you get it started in the little groove, and then you just slide them down together, and you're done. The last thing we need to do is put the lid on, put the cover back over it, and we are done, at least with the filter. Now, as I said, we've got to get in there and do some tank maintenance and so on and so forth, but that's going to be for another video. That was just how to set up a simple hang on the back filter. I'm also probably going to do a video when I get this canister filter torn apart. Not exactly sure about that yet. I don't really know what's going on with that. It could be just a busted O-ring. I don't know what we're going to do with that. So I'll probably video the process, and if it turns out to be interesting, I'll go ahead and turn that into a video. Otherwise, who knows. At any rate, if you're subscribed, you won't miss that or anything else, because I'm going to be doing some work on this tank, as I just said, and I got a bunch of other stuff I need to get done down here. So thanks for watching this one. Again, make sure you're subscribed. We will actually talk about that flickering lighting in here again, because I really need to do something about this. If I could just get it to where it would stop flashing, I'd be happy. So there you go. As I said, thanks again for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Don't forget, this one here is my purple spotted gudgeon tank. Hope that was helpful to somebody, and I will see you real soon in the next one.